Hello, podcast listeners. As Tucker and I get ready to say so long to 2021, well, we've got a lot that we need to catch up on, and we're going to talk about everything from why Pizza Hut today sucks or doesn't suck, all the way to Tucker's got a very serious ask for everyone involving the Land Before Time. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World. And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Okay, so today, Tucker, I had to snowblow 3 different times because it was a blizzard in the upper Midwest. And so the first one...
Thrice.
What? Thrice?
You
Yeah,
did it
thrice.
thrice?
Well, because
Wow.
I had to do it once right away in the morning because we got the bulk of the snow overnight. And I didn't get it all done because I just needed to get enough done so I could get my car out and do the little things. Then in the afternoon, I came home and I cleaned up the stuff that was still left. And then I did one of the things that's my favorite thing to do while I snowblow. I got to snowblow these like paths in my backyard for my dogs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the snow has got to be, I'm going to say 3 feet, maybe taller
At
than that
least.
in my backyard.
I mean, I would say at a minimum it's 3 feet, but because it's blowing everywhere, you're going to be seeing drifts that are at like 5 feet.
Right. So my backyard, so I've got a poodle who, you know, he's not, an inch is too much for him, like
He
in the
fits
back.
in a purse. Yeah. He's like a backpack dog.
And the only time he likes going on the snow is when it's like already crusted over and he's got such little weight that he can walk on the top of it. But that's not the kind of snow we had today.
Like Legolas.
Yeah, exactly. He's very Jesus-like if Jesus walked on snow. And
maybe that's what he did. Maybe that was the trick. He was like, hold on, I'm just going to wait till it freezes over. And then technically I'm walking on water.
I mean, we don't know that it's not. Right. You know, like I know very little about the Middle East and the freezing patterns of their bodies of water.
Right. And especially in the desert. Yeah.
Right. Oh, because deserts can be cold. That's the thing is you learn when you get older, like that deserts are not just hot. They're also very cold.
Right. Do you find that there's sort of like do you think your neighborhood has sort of its own snow blowing culture amongst all the different houses? Because now that I'm living at this rental house, and so I've been snow blowing as well. I snow blowed today as well, but I only did it once. But it felt like doing 3 times at once because that's just how much snow fell. And I've been a little concerned about, boy, I sure hope my neighbors aren't judging me for how soon I get out there, because I'm not like the first one out there in the morning. I mean, I can work from home so I don't need to go anywhere for the most part. And I wasn't quite sure when the snowing was going to stop. So I'm always trying to pick what's the most opportune time to do it. So, you know, you can hope to avoid having to do multiple times. So if you know it's going to snow today and tomorrow, you might go, you know, I don't know if I will today. I might get the sidewalk because you want that to be clear. But beyond that, I might not do anything. Do you think does your whole neighborhood know who the good snowblowers are and who the bad ones are?
I think that my neighborhood has changed a lot. So I live, if the listener of JJ Meets World who's listening now doesn't know, I live in the house my grandfather built and then my parents bought from them and I inherited from my parents. So the bulk of my block are older people. And I've noticed that I would say at least half now use a service rather than shovel or snow blow their own driveway.
Okay.
And so that changes the dynamic instantly because those people, they're paying for it. So why would you go out and do any of it? Right. So you just wait. But like, for example, today, these services are just now getting to our neighborhood. So the whole day has been without it. Now, that being said, there are some kind neighbors like myself who I'm one in from the corner, but I went 2 houses down and then all the way to the avenue doing the sidewalk, because I know
Right.
that 2 of my neighbors nearby use a service, and that service wasn't going to get there anytime soon. And I wanted to make sure that the mail carrier got in pretty easily.
Right.
So I snowblowed all the way up to where someone else had stopped snowblowing. And I think that it's not that I judge anyone necessarily, but I think I know their habits. So I know, okay, if I'm out here already, I'm just going to get it taken care of.
Right.
Here's the thing that drives me nuts. If you purchase a home, and no one forces you to purchase a home, you choose to purchase a home, and there is a fire hydrant in front of it, you need to clear the snow in front of that fire hydrant. It's just part of the deal. And
I wasn't sure if you were saying that you're saying that on the street part of it,
yeah,
but doesn't the city do that?
No, you need to clear so that you can get access to it from the sidewalk or the street. You need to clear all around out in front of that fire hydrant.
But if there's a fire, do you really think the snow's going to stick around for a long time?
Actually, that's the difference between your house burning down and it being saved.
Well, but like, why do you need the fire hydrant if you're just surrounded by all this frozen water?
I mean, I can't argue with that logic, but right. I think that time has already proven.
Listen, if your house is on fire and you're like, shit, the fire hydrant is a little covered, let me get the snowblower and I'll just aim the snow at the burning house and get a start. And then by the time I'm to the fire hydrant, I'm sure you've put out most of the fire, right?
But you know what? You're really just, I mean, let's get technical. You're just feeding the flame at that point because you're introducing more oxygen in there with less liquid.
You're saying that fire feeds off of snow.
I'm saying that snow is mainly air. And when you snow blow, the majority of it is air. Would you agree that the stream from a snowblower has less liquid in it than the stream from a hose?
I mean, does it have any liquid in it since it's like frozen water?
It sure does. It absolutely has liquid in it.
But liquid is a state, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, just the other day, I had a little bonfire in my backyard, and I doused it with snow. And it was great. It worked perfectly. It was awesome. So just douse your house fire with all the fucking snow that's around here.
How many scoops of snow do you think it took for that to put that thing out?
Well, it was like 15.
Okay. So let's just think about size-wise.
Right?
Right? I'm not saying it's a bad
have a small
idea.
House.
If that's all that you have, go for it. But that's part of the homeowner's responsibility is you got to clear out around the fire hydrant. Just like if you choose to buy a house on a corner lot, you got to do both sides, the avenue and the street.
Yeah. And I have done the sidewalk for my neighbors to the north of me a few times. And that was just because, like you said, I was out there, I was doing my sidewalk. It's right there, and it was like the one piece of sidewalk left on the block that hadn't been snowblowed. And so I usually do that if they haven't hit it yet. I have no idea if they're elderly. I've never seen what they look like. I don't even know who they are. But because it is surprisingly, depending on the circumstances, it can be fun. I had never actually snowblowed in my 36 years living up here in the cold north. I have never snowblowed until this year. And because, I'm mostly living in apartments anyways, so I'm not typically needing to do that.
And it's a rush, isn't it?
Well, I was not looking forward to the first time because I thought, it's not fun to mow the lawn. How's it supposed to be fun to do this? And this is cold and it's harder and I hate shoveling and blah, blah, blah. But then when I first hit the snow with the blower and realized, no, what I'm doing is the robot's doing all of it. I'm just making it go forward and I don't even have to push. I just have to hold down this lever and it goes forward. And then it kind of becomes a game too of how far you think you can shoot the snow and what you want to hit with snow.
Right.
And it becomes a great time. It
becomes a little bit like playing with like Legos because you've got to fill in certain spaces and you got to think to yourself, okay, am I going to shoot the snow over? And you kind of plot it out, right? Like I'm not going to do my driveway or my sidewalk first and then my driveway because while I'm doing my driveway, I'm going to be shooting snow into the sidewalk area, and I don't want to do that twice.
I was really self-conscious too about accidentally shooting snow into the neighbor's yard. You know, I mean, I don't think there's a law about it, but at the same time, I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm gonna put all this snow on your property, right? So I always try to aim when it's the driveway. I'm always aiming into my own lawn so that I'm just piling all of it up on my own property. And I'll even do that on the sidewalk, but sometimes I'll put it out onto the boulevard. But every time I've snowblowed, the city had already gone through and scraped the street clean. So I was always really self-conscious about throwing more snow out into the street.
Well, and you're not supposed to throw snow into the street, whether or not they've been there or not. Same thing with you're not supposed to just blow your lawn clippings into the street.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. So luckily,
it's good for you. There is a whole page on the City of Fargo website telling you about how the proper way to be a good neighbor and to follow city guidelines and codes for removing of snow. Now, this is something I do that is probably a little cocky. Okay. When I'm done snow blowing all of my major walk areas and the dog path in the backyard, I take my snowblower out to the curb and I snow blow on the city street all the way up to the curb just to kind of give an indication of where the curb actually ends. So that way, when they come through to scrape, they've got an idea of like, oh, that's where the curb is. I feel, and I also feel like I get less snow in my driveway too, because, there's an empty spot for snow to go before it gets to my driveway.
Right.
Just throwing it out there. So that was today, the big snow removal day. It was a fun day. On my regular job, on my radio show, all I did pretty much all day long was pitch it from the highway patrol to the plow people to the cancellations to the weather center and back and forth.
Remember the days of getting up early and waiting to find out that school got canceled?
Oh, it was bliss.
Oh, that was the best. That feeling, that dopamine rush you get the moment you see your school's district come across on the TV ticker on the bottom.
Yep.
Especially if it happened the night before. Like if the night before they already knew we're just going to cancel tomorrow because it's already bad. That's even better, because that's just like tomorrow is a weekend and it could be a Wednesday.
If they canceled it the night in advance, I would have a sleepover at a friend's house.
Even if time is of the essence for some things, I always automatically feel a sense of relief when some kind of obligation gets canceled.
Oh, really?
I'm just like, for the most part, because then I'm just like, oh, thank God, I'm going to stay home. It feels, it's like the adult version of a snow day to me. If some sort of obligation gets canceled because of unforeseen circumstances, even if I wanted to do the thing, I might be upset about it, but there's always a part of me that feels like, school got canceled. I'm going to go play video games.
This was a pretty big disappointment in my personal life. I had been planning a trip for a week to New York City in January of 2022. And that trip is now fully canceled.
Sorry, dude.
Things that are going on with Omicron and COVID, and they're starting to close all of the Broadway shows. And the reason I was going to go out there is I was going to see Wolverine on Broadway in the Music Man.
Yeah.
And I'm so sad and so disappointed that I can't do this. But, I feel like this is the responsible choice, blah, 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 blah. And I can keep telling myself I made the right decision over and over and over again, but I'm still just gutted completely by not being able to go do it.
I'm sorry, dude. That sucks. Yeah. I mean, that's not the kind of same thing I was referring to, because that's something more like, oh, this is this thing I'm planning on that I'm really looking forward to.
No, you're talking about it's chili night at my mom's house, and it's great because I do love going over to eat chili, but do I really want to put pants on? And then it doesn't happen, and then you're like, yes.
Exactly. Like when a friend cancels on you, there's part of you that's sad that you're not going to see your friend, but there's a part of you that's doing a little dance inside.
Yeah.
Because now you don't have to do anything.
In fact, just recently Tucker canceled on me to go see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But it was no big deal because you know what? I went anyway and I enjoyed myself. Although I will say this, to the woman who was using her phone during the whole thing, come on. You could have just streamed this at home and been on your phone the whole time.
I had a little piece of heartbreak the other day.
Oh no.
I think I may have mentioned it to you, but I might as well bring it up for the podcast too. You know how much I love physical media,
You love
Blu-rays
it
and
so much.
DVDs and VHSs. And I was at a pawn shop yesterday looking to take them up on their sweet offers of like 75 cents per DVD. And this pawn shop had the definitive gold box edition of the original Twin Peaks show. So the first 3 seasons on standard def DVD. They were selling the whole box set for $5. And I was so right.
That is an amazing price.
That's a really good price. And the it's a SD DVD, but I'm fully set up to watch that stuff. So I buy it, I get home, I am so excited. I'm so happy I found this thing. And as I'm like unpacking it, I peel off the sales sticker and it reveals these 2 graphics that both say 15 on them. And I'm like, what is this? I think I've seen this before. And I realize, oh, this is the rating system that they use in Europe. It's saying this show is for people ages 15 and older. And it even says like signified by the like Irish or like the film something of Ireland or whatever. So these are like Irish copies of Twin Peaks. And the problem with that is we've all heard of digital rights management. Well, in the era of DVDs, the way they would do that, one way they would do it is DVDs sold in America would have a specific region code in them, and DVDs sold in Europe would have a European region code in them. And so to watch an American DVD, you essentially need an American DVD player. Same with Europe. I don't have an Irish DVD player, and I put
which really astounds
DVD
me because
in.
I feel like you should have an Irish DVD player.
I kind of thought that just by being Irish and owning a DVD player, that would make it an Irish DVD player automatically. And it said it would not play. It will not play in my PlayStation 2. And that crushed me. So now I have to go on jeffbezos.com and try to find a DVD player that's either European or just region free, which can play whatevs. Isn't that sad?
I feel like once you get it, though, it's going to open up a whole new world for you because there's a bunch of stuff that was never released in the United States that now you can get a hold of.
Right.
You know?
But I mean, it's weird to be sitting here in 2021 on the cusp of a new year, and I'm still getting pwned by 1995 DRM.
Yeah, I mean, there's truth to that. That's for sure. There's absolute truth there. Side note, you call it jeffbezos.com. Can I tell you something interesting that happened to me recently?
Yeah.
I was given a private tour of the Amazon facility in Fargo.
What was it like?
Well, okay, so I will tell you right off the bat, I expected the worst, right? So I think we've all heard about, like what the working conditions are like at an Amazon facility. Now, unless they hired a whole team of actors and they did a really good job, a la like an 80s sitcom where they put up giant mirrors, it seemed like people were pretty stoked and having a lot of fun while they worked there. Now, I will say this. They clearly were not able to fulfill the amount of jobs that they needed to make this facility go to 100% in Fargo. So there are people who've moved to this community from other Amazon facilities because it allowed them to move up to a new like part of the, chain of command.
Okay.
I am shocked at how efficient and cool that facility is. So one of the first things that they were telling us about is they showed us where they pack stuff. So the whole thing functions on the idea like this. There's giant shelves. It looks like a library. And then there's carts. You bring a cart to the shelf. You grab the items that are supposed to go not together. Like you're gathering multiple items, right?
Okay.
And you fill your cart and you bring your cart over to a packer. And the packer is in charge of scanning what order is going to be fulfilled. And it tells you what things to take off the cart. It also tells you what box to use. So in front of the packer, there's this just giant collection of boxes. And they all have a code on them like C9, P2. And so it tells you based on the number of items that are already pre-weighted and sized. Oh, these 3 items, the algorithm says a C7 box would be the most efficient. So there's no guesswork in that, which I find to be amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then when you go to tape the box shut, you hit a button. You've got like a keypad in front of you, and it's got all of the different boxes on the keypad. You hit C7, and out comes exactly as much tape as you need.
Huh.
And so there's no like having to get it and find the end of the tape. It automatically spits it out for you. And so the people who said, like, watch this, the guy who was building the box, he goes, I hold my box up to it so that when it spits it out, by the time it gets to the end, all I have to do is push down on this side, push down on this side. And I said, that's amazing. And they told me about a program that Amazon has where if you see a need, they'll fulfill a need. So someone once said, like, hey, listen, it is crap that I have to wait to figure out how much tape I'm going to use and have to cut it with this scissor. And we're losing millions of dollars in, inches of tape at a time. And so
which is crazy to think about.
Which is crazy to think about. And they're like, you're right. So somebody invented the tape machine. Same thing for like all over that place. It just, all of these things that needed to be invented were invented. Even this, like, like the big size trash cans that a janitor would use at a high school.
Mm-hmm.
So by their loading dock, they had 2 of these, but they were upside down. So they were like mouth to mouth. Okay. And I was like, and then they're zip tied together. And I go, well, what's the deal with these giant garbage cans? What are you doing with these bitches? And they're like, oh, we made them like this because we have large pieces of wood that need to go in here. And somebody recently said it sucks that all this large wood is sticking out. Someone could actually get really hurt. And they're like, you're right. Let's invent a garbage can that's big enough to deal with this. And so they invented a garbage can on site. Boom, done. And I know that sounds kind of like piddly, but I was amazed when I went to that facility. Also, you cannot fathom how big that place is.
That was my next question because I've driven past it, and on the outside, it looks absolutely massive. Like it has its own zip code or something. And I feel like the inside of it would be a place that you would really want to drive a go-kart around in. Oh,
and here's the thing. You would run out of gas before you did 3 laps in a standard go-kart.
Jeez.
Not only is it wide, but it is long. It's so long that at one point I went upstairs. So there's an upstairs on half of it. And I looked down the shelves and you couldn't see the other end. You just saw the shelves going into nowhere. So it was shocking.
What was this whole this tour was for KFGO? You were doing your day job?
So Amy and I put out an interview request to interview essentially like the managers of the new Fargo facility because we're interested, right? It's huge that it moved to Fargo.
Yeah.
So they said, sure, we'll have an interview with you. We did a 25-minute interview and they sent us a message afterwards saying like, you guys, we had so much fun. Thank you so much. If you ever want a tour, we'd love to have you guys up here. And I thought, sure, they're just being polite. So we said, yeah, we'd actually love to come up for a tour. So they arranged to have us up there for a tour. And there are 2 other media entities, but they put us like last on the list because we got to do this packaging thing that none of the other media entities got to do. And we got to play this game. And they gave us like a VIP tour. Now, getting into the packaging facility, I had to give them my ID, not just like show it to them. They took it, and I think they ran a background check on me.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's so much money and merch and stuff there, that they just want to keep track of everything that's going on.
Well, and why wouldn't you, right? Because you're talking about a place that has, 1 gigabyte SD cards, and they've got 10,000 of them, right?
Right, and in a place that size, I got to imagine if you can get into it, it must be fairly simple to hide in it.
100%. So I found it to just be an intriguing, interesting place. I had a ton of fun while I was there. It was just a neat place to be. And I was I was honored that someone, would like say like, yeah, we'll give you a tour. We'll let you have a good time.
Did you get to
And
see anything like did you get to see anything like Amazon drones or anything like that?
no, in fact, and I did ask, I was like, hey, so what's the deal? Like, you guys going to do some drones or something? And they wouldn't come out and say, right? They were like, oh, we'll see what the future holds. And I'm like, well, that means yes. I know what that means, but I did think it was pretty dang nifty that they would give me a tour. And if I'm going to be blatantly honest, if I decided I wanted a second job, I would definitely go and get a second job there in a heartbeat.
Really? All right.
Do you remember when we were in Kentucky and we were visiting your grandmother and we were driving through Lexington, which is where one of the first big Amazon facilities was? And you drive down the highway and it's warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. And it goes on for like 5 minutes of driving.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy.
How many I mean, not to expect you to know this number, but I got to assume now that if they're putting headquarter, or let me say this again, that they're putting stores or shops in places like Fargo, how many places like this do they have in the country? Like, how many square feet of just earth do they have buildings on top of right now? It must be crazy.
Yeah, and they're adding some all the time too. That's the other thing, right? So they're putting a physical footprint in so many places because it's going to allow them to have the fastest shipment. So I think this is fascinating because at one point Target and Walmart decided to say like, hey, Amazon, F you and the B, okay, buddy? We're going to actually be the ones to do better than you because we already have the infrastructure to get same day delivery out there to the masses. And so Target and Walmart both launched 2-day programs. Walmart has even got a 1-day delivery. In some cases, it's got same day delivery. Well, I think this is Amazon calling the bluff and saying like, okay, you guys want to play hard, we'll play even harder and we'll start opening more of these facilities. And because we don't have to worry about shopping square footage and check stands and stuff like that, we'll be able to have larger warehouses and more stuff. This is also something that they told me about, and it was a real Dedoy moment, but they don't keep everything there all the time. And this is what I mean. In Fargo, they right now, I saw a giant pallet that was just full of lefse griddles. And the woman who is showing us around was from California. And I'm like, hey, Ashley, do you even know what these are? And she goes, no. She goes, but Amazon has a unique algorithm that says, okay, if this is being ordered here, we will add more inventory based on demand in this area. So I said, okay, well, you'll always have a ton of these fucking things.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I actually got some lefse for them and I dropped it off for her just yesterday so she could try what lefse actually is.
So do you think Amazon at some point in the future, because I mean, clearly I understand why the big box retail, every retailer is looking at Amazon going, oh shit, right? Just all the time. Do you think at some point Amazon, which already has a complete stranglehold on, buying things on the internet in America, that they then start opening up like actual stores that you can walk around in, and you'd be able to check on Amazon like, hey, yes, this is in Fargo right now. You could go pick it up at this location if you wanted to. And that they start competing there because like the monster always wants to keep growing, right? The tentacles want to keep spreading out. I got to think at some point they start thinking about that too.
So I've given this a lot of thought. I don't think Amazon, they've got some pilot brick and mortar stores, and they're very interesting because you go in there and essentially you put you scan your credit card on the cart, and any item you put into the cart, it automatically weighs and knows the exact size and dimensions of it. And so you don't actually go to a check stand. You just get to walk out of the store and it automatically charges your card for it. Here's what I think that they end up doing.
Wow.
Amazon knows that it is not worth their time or finances to let you shop in a traditional shopping sense. What they would rather do is mine your information and give you something like a curbside deal. right? So yeah, you can say like, oh, listen, I need to get shampoo and detergent and all this kind of stuff, and I need it today. I'm going to buy it all on the website, and then all I have to do is drive up to the Amazon location and do it there, because they can use the time, like when you check in and say like, here, they say like, hey, Tucker, you bought this, but it's been 2 months since you bought deodorant. Are you sure you don't need a little update on that? And I think that like that's where their power comes from, is knowing what your shopping habits are and pushing it to you in that easy way versus trying to get you to go to an end cap so that you buy a ham, you know?
Right. So what do the Target boutiques and the Wally Marts do? Like, what do they got? Is it they just compete on price?
No,
do they
so
just create their own delivery system entirely?
Here's what I think it is. It's going to come down for those big retailers for customer service. You are always going to be able to pry on the people who wait until the last second. So that'll be huge. You know, like the people who are out there shopping on December 24th for a Christmas gift. And I also think that customer service becomes the next level for them. Okay. So let's say I'm going to purchase a television. Okay. Right now I go on Consumer Reports and I figure out what I want, and then I'm probably going to just order it offline. Gone are the days of where I even walk into Best Buy to ask for someone's opinion, because most of the time that person has worked in that section for all of 20 minutes and they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
So if Best Buy turns around and tells me that, you know, like essentially we've got a geek squad for TVs. These people are the most knowledgeable when it comes to televisions. Bring a picture of your living room, tell them what you plan on watching, and they will give you the best possible, like, you know, price points for the television that you need. So that you can walk in and say, you know, it's primarily going to be my kids watching this, and be like, oh, great. Okay. So this one actually has great sleep timer capabilities. So if you want to have this only play for like 60 minutes and then turn off automatically, this is a great way to take care of that. Or it's got parental controls. It's got whatever you need. That's the type of person I want to talk to. I will do business with a brick and mortar store if the person is knowledgeable and they're going to give me something more than just like, oh yeah, I think there's a pallet of these over there by the Nintendo Switches. That drives me bonkers, especially when it comes to electronics. But I also think that there's something for like suggestions, right? So if you're out there shopping for, we just finished with Christmas. If I'm looking for a gift for my mother-in-law and I'm like, God, I don't know what to get her. I want to get her something kind of like fun at the cooking store. And you walk into the cooking store and I can describe who my mother-in-law is, and they can go, oh, here's some great suggestions for you. Does she have the whistling bird for pie making? And you go, no, what's that? Oh, it's a ceramic bird you put in the middle of a pie. And when it starts to whistle because of the steam in the pie, you know that the pie is done. Oh, that's really friggin' cool. Okay, I'll take that, because I can tell you this much. I am not Googling ceramic bird pie anytime soon. So that is where the brick and mortar can end up saving themselves. But then we get into the whole thing of like, okay, so who do you hire? Right now we're in this weird, employment crunch. Oofta, I don't know.
I'm so the exact opposite of you personality wise when it comes to this kind of a thing.
Oh yeah,
because I'm all about like, do not talk to me, stranger looking for commission or whatever you are. I don't care. I will ask you a question. I want the shortest answer possible so I can get away from you. Because especially like at Best Buy, I still will go to Best Buy, but I'm almost never buying something. It's oftentimes if I'm like, I just want to get my eyes on it first before I go buy it online for whatever reason. Or if I'm in a pinch and I think I need something real fast, like a SSD for video or something like that. But I always have that Ron Swanson moment when he was at, I think, Home Depot, where the guy walks up to him and goes, hey, do you got a home project? And he just stops and says, I know more than you. And he goes, okay, and walks along. That's like me at Best Buy or any other place. But instead of I know more than you, it's just leave me alone. I don't care. Like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I don't like being in this brightly lit Target with all these screaming kids everywhere and the PA system and all that kind of stuff. I want to get in and out. And so I would definitely be the audience space for that curbside Amazon. In fact, I would be the audience space for the drone delivery from Amazon, if they would ever, if that becomes a thing here in Fargo.
Now, what if your drone delivery meant that you had to go out and shovel your walk? Like you couldn't have more than a quarter inch of snow on top of your delivery pad.
Well, I mean, that, I'll still do that thing because that's still going to take far less effort to do that than to drive to Target.
Okay.
I mean, plus, have you seen the parking lot at Target? I mean, the Target in Fargo has the most anxiety-inducing parking lot I've ever seen in any major city. And they've been doing all this construction, and it hasn't helped at all. And so any chance, like if I need something that I know Target is going to have, and that Target specifically the place is going to have it in town, I then I'll go. But I am looking for any excuse to not go inside.
I feel like I am really good at navigating that parking lot. I feel like I've found like a calling when it comes to navigating the Target parking lot.
Really?
And here's one thing I will tell you. This is a true thought. I think that shopping is directly linked to our hunting and gathering instincts as human beings. We no longer have to go and hunt for our food anymore.
That, you know what? That is a very, very good point, because the only shopping that I actually enjoy is going to thrift shops or pawn shops, hunting for whatever I'm going to find.
Right.
But I know I'm not going to find a Target.
You get sort of this thrill. Like there's a little bit of dopamine, right? When you find something that is unexpected.
Totally.
Like the guy who stumbles upon a woolly mammoth that like is just taking a dump, and he's got a perfect shot, and he's like, I'm gonna get this whole woolly mammoth on my own. Yes, queen. But so I think that because of that, something like Target is the watering hole, right? It's the everybody goes there. It's the low hanging fruit when it comes to shopping. What you're doing is something even more on a base nature, where you're going out there and you're looking for the perfect kill. Like it's like, oh my God, a Blender's CD that's signed by 2 of the 4.
When I found that Blender's audio cassette tape the other day, I was pretty stoked about that. I was so stoked about finding the Twin Peaks, and then of course that the bottom of that had to fall out at some point.
Yeah, but you know what? But here's the thing. It now gives you another reason to hunt, right? Like, so now you get to go and you get to hunt in a different way than you did before to purchase a region-free DVD player.
Right. No, you're right. The dopamine hit of the surprise when you find the thing that you weren't expecting to find. It's kind of funny that we're talking about that, because it kind of ties in with this little side project I've been working on that I might as well talk about now and bring it up on the podcast now. JJ, when you were growing up, did you ever collect any kind of trading cards? Any kind?
Yeah, I had a pretty sizable baseball card collection.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you were really into baseball?
No. I think my dad was trying to butch me up. I had friends who were way into it. Like they got the Topps catalogs, and like they were always looking up prices. I lived fairly close to a baseball card shop. And so I think I was just kind of going along for the ride. Pretty much.
Well, okay. You weren't collecting them though. You were just getting them.
Yeah.
You weren't
I had books. I curated them very well. I didn't know, like, I'm like, who gives a shit? I don't know who Raleigh Fingers is, but he's got a fucking awesome mustache. But like, I would say I collected baseball cards, because I had some that were in like those clear plastic cases that were screwed together so that no air could get in there.
Yeah, like the one that's going to preserve it so that it goes up in value.
Yep, that'd be the one.
Yeah, I actually so I didn't collect sports cards, but I collected superhero cards because I was an indoor kid. And I started collecting superhero cards in the summer of 1992, because that was the year that the X-Men cartoon came on Fox Kids. And up until that point, my obsession had just been the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I had a few cards of theirs, but I wasn't like actively going out or getting anything. And I'm still, let me see, 92. So I was 7. So I don't have any money, right? I can't go and buy stuff yet. But this kid down the block from my dad's house ended up having a ton of these X-Men trading cards because the X-Men was the massive thing at the moment that had just completely taken over like the little kid pop culture, territory that the Ninja Turtles used to be on. And this kid had a bunch of doubles from his X-Men cards. And he goes, "Oh, do you like the X-Men?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was a few years older than me. And he goes, "Here, you can have these." And he just gave me a fistful of X-Men trading cards. And 7-year-old me like just went to the moon. This was so cool. And like I sat there, and these trading cards, they were actually trying to basically mimic sports cards. So like baseball cards, on the back you'd have like a bio of the player, and you'd have some of their stats, home runs or whatever. And so they would create stats.
Why are you telling me that? I mean, I just told you I don't know anything about baseball.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought at one point you took one of the cards and turned it over and looked at it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what those numbers are. RBIs. I don't, what was that? Like Rum Butter Incisors? I don't know.
I think Rum Butter Incisors might be the episode title today of this very, very late Monday episode. Anyways, so I was obsessed with these cards. And as a kid with no like allowance and no job, so I had no money. So I wasn't even buying comic books that often. I'd be gifted them every once in a while. But the only way I could really learn about all these different hundreds of characters that were in comics were through trading cards, which were super, super cheap. And so that was a big thing for me as a kid, was getting some pack of trading cards and opening it and being surprised by what you find. And I've always wanted to try to recapture that for myself a little bit. I really miss that nostalgic feeling. So what I ended up doing was I bought a factory sealed box that would have been used to sit on the shelf to actually sell the trading card packs in comic shops back in the day. Bought that off eBay. And basically what I decided to do was I decided to start a YouTube channel where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I open one of the packs. That's pretty much it. Like I go, "Hey guys, good morning. Let's open up another pack." And then whatever's in there, I might talk about it for a minute or two. It's nothing super deep or special. It's the kind of thing that me and I think 9 other people in the country will ever even want to know exists. But I might as well bring it up now. So the first episode will start January 3rd. And the episodes come out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the episode of JG Meets World that comes out that day, I'll just make sure to link to it in the show notes too, if anyone listening wants to check that out. My guess is none of you want to, and that's totally cool. This is more or less like a way for me to create some sort of fun way to rediscover a piece of my childhood, if that makes sense.
Dude, I think this sounds awesome.
It's fun. It's fun for me. I've really been enjoying it. I've been producing the episodes in a batch, so I've got most of the episodes for January ready to go and produced. And I'm about halfway through the box of trading cards. And so we'll kind of see if any people on YouTube start watching it and get comments. And if I get like 100 or 200 people watching it, I don't know, it might be like a routine thing that I do, but it's just been this little thing that's been in the back of my head that I've wanted to do. And so I decided to take all this vacation time going on over the holidays to take care of it.
Hey, speaking of which, what are you doing for your like vacation days? You have anything fun planned?
So either tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to head south to Arkansas, where my sister's family lives and where my dad just moved. And I'm going to go down there and I'm going to spend New Year's with them. And then I'm going to take a little time to go over to Kentucky and visit Mama Luke.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I haven't really given a huge update on her, but for those of you who have heard of Mama Luke, you know, my lovely, my beautiful, wonderful grandmother, she's 96 and currently at that point in being 96 where it's, you know, it's tough to stay awake, let alone even recognize the person who's in front of you. So she's currently in hospice care at the nursing home that she lives at. And she's been in that for a few months now. And it's just the kind of thing where it's like, you know, she's 96, right? Some days she's a little lucid, other days she's just not. And so we're all kind of waiting to find out when, she'll finally pass, and then we'll be able to get together as a family and have a funeral and stuff. But for the past couple of months, the message I've been getting from the family is like, listen, she's not there, right? She's basically comatose. If you went to see her, she would not know who you are. And death seems so imminent for her so often that it just seemed like, yeah, pretty soon we're going to be going down for a funeral. But Mama Luke is tough and she's hanging on and she's still with us. So since I'm going to be in Arkansas, she's only about 5 hours away from Brianna's place. So I'm going to go visit Mama Luke and then come back up here. So
that's cool.
I'm going to try to make it real chill, be a little emotional, but it's a trip I got to make. And the only thing I'm not looking forward to is really just not being home, because I really like being home. And it's tough to drive at this time of year when there's blizzards and stuff going out. So I think what I'm going to do is make the travel easy on me and like break up every drive over like 2 days so that I'm not, because it's like 15 hours to get to Brianna's place from here.
What are you going to listen to?
Well, some podcasts, probably some Your Mom's House, probably some music. I don't know.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please do.
Yeah. I started listening to, and I'm not going to be able to remember the name off the top of my head, a trivia podcast. And what it is like a little game show, and they ask questions and they give you time enough to answer. And then there's also people playing on the same thing. It has been so much fun to listen to that on road trips because it's actually an interactive podcast in that way.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'll send you the name. It's pretty awesome.
Please do. Please do.
Not going to lie. Like, I love the fact that we are living in this golden age of like audio and things to listen to and enjoy. Oh, we're so lucky.
I know. But it also, like, it can help you feel less isolated. So if you're on a lone car ride, oftentimes just hearing other people talk is the thing that makes you feel less, on your lonesome versus like listening to music, which would be nice.
You also should listen to some local radio in areas you're in, just to hear the accents, you know, just to get like y'all know it's 7 o'clock.
Well, I mean, when you and I record our next episode, which will be the first episode for 2022, I will probably be in Arkansas when we do that. So I'll see if I can go outside and record in the swamp and see if you can hear any of these swamp people from Arkansas behind me.
Yeah. Are there a lot of swamp people in Arkansas? Is that a thing?
I mean, they're all basically swamp people. I mean, even my sister is now a swamp person, I think. Basically, last time I was down there, I was playing with Dane in the yard, and I knelt down to pick him up, and my knee sank into the yard. And I said, Brianna, Nick, why is the yard so mushy? And they said, it's a swamp. Everything here is swampland. So like no one has basements, and everything just kind of slowly sinks into the earth there.
Okay. I mean, why not, right? I mean, there are worse things that can happen.
Yeah, I guess so. It'll be fine.
Okay, so I've got a couple other things that we have to talk about in this particular episode. One of this is this. If you know how you love Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, and you're actually pretty good when it comes to judging the quality of a Philly cheesesteak sandwich.
Yes.
I am sick and tired at the fact that we have a completely unregulated market when it comes to French dip sandwiches. They play fast and loose with the way they describe it. They're like, ooh, it's a prime rib French dip. No, it's not. This is just roasted beef. Okay.
Roasted beef is the Trojan horse of all of our like delicious beef sandwiches.
It
like
truly
people are always
is.
saying it's going to be this one thing. And it's like, not surprise, roast beef.
I'm like, I'm going to call you out here because there's no way that this is a cut from the prime selection of rib bones in a cow. This is a chuck cut at best.
Mm-hmm.
I had a prime rib recently that left me so disappointed that I actually didn't even finish the sandwich, and I said, I'm done. And I got really kind of snotty. I was like, I'm not going to eat anymore. No, this is crap. Why should I subject myself to more of this crap? This is crap.
You know, it's weird to say because you would think that something like a Philly cheesesteak or a French dip, on paper, they sound very simple. And in fact, they are fairly simple. You just got to have the right ingredients. But why is it that no one ever seems to put the right ingredients together unless for a Philly, you're in Philadelphia? I don't understand. Ground chuck is the worst culprit. I guess, if anything, I'd take roast beef over ground chuck any day because ground chuck has no flavor at all. And it's just hamburger. It's like a sloppy Joe. And it's like, oh, this is sloppy Joe. It's not a Philly cheesesteak. Philly cheesesteak's going to have thinly sliced ribeye that was cooked at a medium temperature, so it's nice and juicy.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed.
And I can't imagine what it must feel like to take that first bite of a French dip and go, I have been lied to.
I can tell when it arrives. Like if they bring it to me and they are not showing part of the meat, like if they have the bun completely obstructing all the meat, I know it's a bad choice. I also know, judging from the au jus, like if I can see the bottom of the ramekin, I'm like, this is not au jus. This is a little bit of beef drippings mixed with water.
Yep.
You needn't have bothered.
Yep.
Oh, and what's that? Oh, it's oversalted meat because you don't know how to get to Flavor Town. I see how it is. Number 2, did you ever see the movie Anastasia, the animated movie Anastasia?
Yes. In fact, I almost bought it on VHS the other day, but decided not to.
Okay. So Anastasia is one of the non-Disney animated films from the 90s that I remember really, really liking when it came out.
It's good.
Yeah, right? Like, it's good. It also has one of, like, the scariest villains in Rasputin. It's got great comedic stuff with Bartok the Bat. Like, oh, geez, sir, look at you there.
Yeah.
You're just falling apart. Oh, sir.
That's right. He had a Minnesota accent, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was Hank Azaria, I believe, did the voice of it. So
was that Don Bluth's company?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So I am stoked because they make a Broadway musical out of Anastasia, and it's coming to the Twin Cities. So I buy tickets to it in like the 5th row, and it gets canceled because of COVID. That's a bummer. Then it gets rescheduled for the end of December of this year. And I go, you know what? I'm still going to make this happen. So I went to it. I start watching the beginning, and it takes place, like right as the Bolsheviks are storming, the castle, and they're going to kill all the Romanovs. And what I like is it sort of has a little bit of like historical accuracy to it, right? Like this is something that did happen in the Russian Revolution. And
right.
I'm enjoying that. And so then like it cuts to them like being in, 16 years later in Russia. And then it gets to like they introduce this character that I don't remember from the movie. And this guy is sort of like a captain of the guard. And he's like, tut tut, no one speaks ill of the new republic. And all of a sudden, like, then they have a scene inside this guy's office. And I'm like, okay, so they have a set for this. And I'm like, oh my God, they got rid of the Rasputin character. And they replaced it with this like milk toast. I'm in love with the girl too.
Lame.
Bullshit. I was so disappointed and so angry. But here's the thing that really, really makes this theatrical experience important. I have been tall shamed at almost every single show I have ever seen at the Orpheum Theater in Minneapolis. There is absolutely no rake to the stage. So, there's no height difference. So I always try and kind of slouch in my seat so that people can see around me. This particular time, I made it a point to sit on the aisle so that I could kind of lean into the aisle a little bit. The guy who sat in front of me was 2 inches taller than I am. And I'm on the center aisle. I only saw 2/3 of the show. Anything that happened on stage left or anything that happened on stage right. Anything that happened in the middle, I didn't see. I have no idea what happened. And I don't think that this is karma. I don't think that this is a lesson to me that I should always sit in the back row or anything. But I now have a deeper respect for that woman when I saw the Book of Mormon who kept going, ugh, 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 ugh. A waste of $100. Ugh, 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 ugh.
I've never been tall shamed because I'm not tall. I'm short. But being a short person with a tall friend like you, I've always kind of wanted us to be able to do like a fastball special like Wolverine and Colossus could do in the X-Men. Like if
Yeah.
we were fighting someone, you could just pick me up and throw them right at them.
Okay.
Speaking of Don Bluth, one of the things that I collect for on VHS is the Land Before Time series.
Oh,
Which was,
really?
created by his company. And I wanted just to throw this out there to anyone listening. If anyone listening to this show happens to have Land Before Time 6, which is The Secret of Saurus Rock.
Oh, that's not Search for Big Water?
Or number 11, which is Invasion of the Tiny Sauruses. Those are the only two that I don't have that were released on VHS.
Okay.
And so I need clamshell VHSs of those. And then I'm going to have everything. I've only ever seen the first one. And then JJ, I'm going to marathon The Land Before Time on VHS.
Oh, you are in for diminishing returns every single time. Especially because like I'm gonna project something here. You have such fond memories of the first Land Before Time based off of the Pizza Hut puppets that came
and
out.
the movie itself, because I was obsessed with dinosaurs.
Sure. But really it's the puppets and that smell of the rubber that like while you watch Littlefoot's mother dying, you're like, oh, I can smell it. I can smell those puppets.
You've just convinced me that I should get a Pizza Hut pizza when I watch that one.
You should not.
Don't
give that company any money.
Why?
They're the worst.
They brought some of my favorite promotions. They brought me the X-Men Creator's Choice 2 VHS set, which I also collect for, which is one of my favorite objects I had as a kid. They had the Darkwing Duck promotion where you could get like a detective case and get all these detective toys. And they had, like you said, they had the Land Before Time series. Why am I not supposed to give Pizza Hut my money?
Because the local Fargo Moorhead Pizza Huts are the worst Pizza Huts in the nation.
How do you know this?
Because I have tried over and over to give them my business, including yesterday when I stood inside of their store for 20 minutes saying, hello, and someone would not come and give me my pizza. They've got a giant board that lists everyone's order and it says JJ Gordon ready. And I stood there and I waited. And when they gave it to me, it had just been sitting on a counter. And I was like, well, this is cold now. And they're like, well, you should have gotten here when it said it was ready. And I was like, are you kidding me? They are the worst. The Fargo, whoever owns the Fargo franchise for Pizza Hut, you owe me at least $80 in undelivered items and BS like that. By the way, if you would care to go to eBay and buy the 1998 The Land Before Time Pizza Hut rubber hand puppets, a lot of 4 from Land Before Time, it's going to cost you $35. If you want the whole set of 6, brother, it's going to cost you over $100.
Yeah, I mean, they're no longer going to be popping up at garage sales at the rate that they used to.
Right. I mean, we're talking about this is 33 years ago. So
I wonder how long those puppets will even last for. I mean, you'd think it's gonna break down at some point.
They were pretty thick rubber. I think that's why they smelled so bad.
That's true.
So here's what I want. If anyone wants to get me a gift, Pizza Hut had a Back to the Future promotion when Back to the Future 2 came out that were sunglasses featured in Back to the Future. Any of those sunglasses I would be more than happy to have.
Pizza Hut has fantastic promotions. That's what I'm talking about.
Right,
man.
but it's not, the juice is not worth the squeeze. When was the last time they had a great promotion, a truly great promotion? The Bigfoot pizza?
I totally forgot about that. Remember the Bigfoot Pizza Wars?
Yeah.
Where like them and Little Caesars, maybe Domino's did it too, but certainly Pizza Hut and Little Caesars were like both shilling hardcore, basically rectangular pizza.
Which is funny because I wanted that pizza so bad, even though I thought the pizza at school, the rectangular pizza, was crap.
But this was not school pizza. I mean, school pizza and Little Caesars had completely different consistency. I think it's I don't know if the word is confused or bemused or what, but the Little Caesars in towns, it's always a crapshoot if they're going to be open that day or not, because they just have that much trouble like finding employees.
Well, it depends on, whether or not they got money for weed. If they got money for weed, they're not going to be open because you don't come into work.
Isn't it a shame when like old pizza places that you love go away and you can't get it? We've talked about this in the podcast before, but like I've had to hit up Casey's Pizza a couple times in the past few weeks just because it's the closest thing I could get to a Giovanni's hit.
I miss Giovanni's so much.
I do. I also had Pizza Corner today and it tasted like it used to.
Did it really?
It did. It tasted good. I liked it.
Okay. Well, I'll have to try it. Update on JJ. I've been drinking Pedialyte for the last 14 days. I got a rotavirus and I've had a horrible stomach flu.
Oh no.
Yeah, horrible stomach flu. If you were to look at my Google searches, you would think that I was dying. And so here's what I have found out. I found out that, so first of all, when you have a rotavirus like I did, the bacteria in your stomach doesn't allow your food to actually get properly digested. If you end up with a watery yellow discharge, it mainly means that your body's not it's broken the food down in your stomach acid, but it hasn't absorbed any nutrients and turned it into poo. What it is, it's just getting the liquid out of your body.
Got it.
So that's why you can get severely dehydrated. So I have been drinking Pedialyte. Now, I walked into work and I'm drinking my Pedialyte on like day 9. And a coworker says, they make like a little packet that you can just put into regular water that gives you the same thing, but then you don't have to drink a baby's drink. And I was like, oh. And so I got that for Christmas from a coworker.
So if you're sick for 9 days, don't you go to the hospital?
So here's the thing. So I called Ask a Nurse and they said, if you have a stomach bug, it needs to just work its way out of your system. We could give you an antibacterial or we could give you like an antibiotic, but odds are what you have is a virus and it just needs to work its way out. So I had to eat the brat diet. Do you know what the brat diet is?
The brat diet? No.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not actually brats.
No, it's an acronym. Acronym. It stands for bananas, rice, applesauce, toast. And so essentially it's the blandest stuff that you can put in your body so that your stomach doesn't have, when you eat spicy food, your stomach has to do a different style of digestion than when it's eating something that's ultra bland. So I've been drinking tons of Pedialyte because it's got extra electrolytes. But I will also tell you this. I think I've been severely dehydrated for years because I drink so much Diet Coke.
I would not doubt that at all. The amount of Diet Coke you put away. That doesn't like...
So
go ahead.
I'm drinking iced grape flavored Pedialyte Advanced Care, which has 33% more electrolytes, pre-active prebiotics, and it also will up my zinc as well. There's a test you can do where if you put your your index finger out and you see where your like not your knuckle but like your middle knuckle is, where it's got like the little lines and the extra skin there.
Yeah.
If you pinch that skin and if it doesn't snap back into place right away, you are dehydrated. It's just an easy way to tell if you're hydrated or dehydrated. So like I would pinch it and it would just stay there until I moved my knuckle around a little bit.
I am officially dehydrated. I'm doing it right now.
Dude, I'm telling you. So none of the Pedialytes taste good. That's what you have to know from the get-go. And try as I might, I mean, the iced grape tastes like Dimetap, which I used to think...
I love Dimetap.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You love taking a sip of Dimetap. Drinking a liter of Dimetap is an entirely different situation.
You know what tastes even better is ZzzQuil.
And so it's also like, it's thicker than water. It still is watery, but it's thicker.
Right.
So, it's best served cold. It even says on the side of the bottle, it says best served cold.
Is it the kind of thing that if you could get it to taste good, at least, that it wouldn't hurt to have a glass a day, no matter how you're feeling?
100%. Essentially the Gatorade does almost the same thing, right?
Really? See, when I look at Gatorade and Powerade, to me, I feel like I'm just looking at sugar.
Oh, you're just looking at these things. Well, okay. So in this, what do I got here? It's got 18 grams of added sugars in this thing.
In Pedialyte?
In Pedialyte.
Okay.
It has 0% protein. There's no meat in this.
Damn.
But get this. It's got 1,380 milligrams of sodium, which is 60% of my daily need for sodium. So that's how it gets the electrolytes into my body.
Okay.
It also has potassium, 15% of my daily need for potassium, which helps blood coagulate. So if you ever cut yourself and you're like, why won't the bleeding stop? Eat a banana because it's loaded with potassium.
If you have been feeling sick, what did you do over Christmas meals?
That's the tragedy, my friend. So
you didn't get to have any?
Well, I did, but so because I basically haven't been able to eat, like, I've skipped meals. I think I've shed about 15 pounds.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Like that bloat and water weight going through you.
Yep. And my stomach has definitely shrunk down.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it came to Christmas meals and all the delicious things surrounding Christmas, I had like a couple of bites and that was about it. And then I had some like serious bathroom emergencies at my sister's house. My sister just bought a brand new house and it's brilliant and it's amazing. And I'm so jealous. She's clearly the more successful Gordon child. But one of the things she has is her right off of her kitchen, there's a pocket bathroom. So it's just a toilet and a pedestal sink and a sliding door that you can lock. Okay. So teeny tiny, this little thing is. So I go in there to use it. Well, a couple of toots and some squirts later, I'm like, everybody in that kitchen can clearly hear what's going on. And I've only just begun. I was just
the band
mortified.
Is warming up.
Oh God, I hated it.
What is why is it that, does this ever happen to you? I think this is a thing, like a psychological thing where the moment you get home, suddenly you have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, I think it's because your body's like, oh, I can finally be comfortable again.
Yeah. Like the closer I get going home from almost anywhere, I start to feel like, oh, I could really go to the bathroom right now. And I'm like in anticipation of doing it the first thing I do when I get home. And it's been for years. It's not like I'm getting older kind of a thing. I've always noticed this and I've always wanted to know why.
I mean, I guess that's something for you and your therapist to work out, you know?
But it's not a dysfunction. I mean, it feels great. I'm glad.
I'm not saying it's a dysfunction. I'm just saying like that's something that you and your therapist can work out and be like, okay, well, let's dig down deep. Were you ever hurt by a toilet?
I think if we get to that point, she's going to go, Tucker, I think we've really covered all the ground with you were going to cover. And maybe call me back in a year when you've experienced some new traumas.
Yeah. Tucker, I think that it's time that I recommend another therapist for you. I've got a great colleague. You're really going to like him. Okay. So Tucker, this has been fun. You've got to get ready to get on the road though.
Yeah, and I apologize everyone for this getting out super late. Obviously, holidays and stuff going on.
Listen, as long as it's out by midnight, we still have yet to miss.
Yeah, it'll be coming out tonight. So it's actually going to come out here in about probably an hour as I sit down and try to crunch through all this stuff. So
okay, well, you have a very happy New Year, and if you need to watch a really great video that I think you would enjoy, Wrinkles in Need of Cuddles. Wrinkles used to be an old like toy, like Pound Puppies, and In Need of Cuddles is a VHS, straight to VHS special that they made to introduce the entire Wrinkles family. And I think that it's right up your alley. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube. I'll even share it on our page.
I've pulled it up right now. It looks fantastic. And I think I'm going to have to start trying to hunt for the VHS of this.
You need to listen to the musical number where they're dressed as like marching band leaders. Okay.
Deal.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information. I also love a new song called Struttin' by Thumpasaurus. Listen to it. It's amazing.